Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Dukes, and thank you, Belhaven Alumni Association, for having me today. I'm very honored to be here. I always knew that I would end up in New York City. I had been an actress and a performer as a kid in Texas, and I loved every second of being on stage, working with a group of people that had to depend on each other to put something together, and the pressure of the show must go on. Just days into my Belhaven career, I seemed to be on a path of theatrical success, and I just knew that I had found my calling. The worldview curriculum helped open my eyes to broader topics than Shakespeare and Sondheim, though. Specifically, I began to learn how ordinary people can be the trigger for extraordinary change. As I continued my education at Belhaven, got married, graduated, and faced the whole what now phenomenon, I found that I kept thinking back to two seemingly random classes I had taken here at Belhaven. The first was a special topics history class I had the honor to take with Dr. Busby. It covered the history of Mississippi during the Civil Rights Movement. And the second was an elective I just took because it fit into my schedule, Psychology of the Exceptional Child. A move to Virginia, a decision to pursue teaching, and a grueling year and a half of teaching preschool full-time and going to grad school at night full-time, I became a certified teacher. I landed one of the few jobs open in a public school in a small town, and I loved it. Life was great. And then I watched The Lottery, a documentary film that exposes the disparity of educational conditions and opportunities in many of New York City's urban, minority-populated schools. I thought back to those two classes I had taken at Belhaven that I loved so much and that at the time seemed to have nothing to do with each other. And then I realized they had everything to do with each other and with me. I knew what I had to do. I had to be a teacher in a school where children came first. I had to be a teacher in a school that worked together to solve problems, that did not use state test, class, race, or socioeconomic status as an excuse for mediocrity or failure. I had to be a teacher that worked to close the pervasive and crippling achievement gap in our country. God's timing is perfect, Dr. Parrott, you're right. Just as my husband was finishing up his master's degree, I applied for a job at a school that didn't exist yet, Achievement First Endeavor Elementary School. The morning after I applied online, I had a phone interview. 2 weeks later, I flew up and did a terrifying demo lesson in front of 30 children I didn't know. And after that, I was hired as a first grade teacher and was lucky enough to be one of 23 founding members at Achievement First Endeavor Elementary out of an applicant pool of more than 1,000. The next year was a whirlwind full of incredibly long days, frustrating roadblocks, huge academic successes, and a lot of exploring the Big Apple with my husband, Alex. The best part, though, was watching as my 30 scholars, almost all more than a year and a half academically behind, walked into Belhaven in August and walked out 10 months later, almost all more than a year advanced. Through the hard work of my scholars, the partnership with their families and staff at my school, we are truly closing the achievement gap in Brooklyn, New York. I think back sometimes to how I ended up in this job, in this field, and in this social justice movement. My thoughts always wander back to the warm and balmy halls of Preston, and I know exactly how I got here. Belhaven taught me to make a difference. Belhaven taught me that I can make a change. Belhaven taught me to be the trigger. As it turns out, I did end up in New York City. I perform every day for a captive audience of 36 and 7-year-olds who, whether they like it or not, have to watch until the curtain closes on another school day. I work with an incredible team of educators who share my passion for closing the achievement gap. And that old pressure of the show must go on definitely applies in a room where rain or shine, sick or health, there's always a lesson to be taught. I ended up right where I thought I'd be all along. To quote the words of my sweet front toothless scholar, Nia, who boldly stated about our Belhaven cheer, "Our class is so loud and proud that all the other scholars wish they were Blazers too." So thank you, Belhaven. Thank you for showing me how to find and harness my voice. Rest assured that I'm using it to help them find theirs. Thank you.